All right, so we are here, March 11th, 2021. It's been an insane year. I think most of you found me around this time last year from my original Galactic Federation channeling, which is so mind-blowing. I mean, I've been tuning into them for many years now, and it was around this time of 2020 where they said, we have something to talk about. And I said, okay, no worries, I'll do a video. And they said, no, 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 you have to do it from us. And that was the first time I was ever really allowed to relay information verbatim from them. So that's pretty badass. Here we are a year later, all of you. I mean, I'm just totally fangirling out on how many of you are just here and around and open-minded and willing to listen and expand. Speaking of expansion, my intention for today is to allow you to unlock aspects of your DNA by hearing this information. I truly believe that knowledge will set you free, as well as knowledge will help you unlock your vibration and your DNA. And that's my intention. And that's why I want to bring them through, see what they have to say, and see what kind of shifts are created from after an event like this. I always say, give yourself some time, maybe a couple of days, maybe a week after, to really allow that energy to integrate into your system. And what else? I guess the other thing, yeah, the other intention is honestly just to introduce you to the Galactic Federation and all the beings and all the magic and all the information that is contained within the Galactic Federation. I've got some cool questions here today, so we'll see what comes through. Of course, I don't really plan for this, so I have no idea what's going to come through or who's going to come through with what. So just keep an open mind. And last but not least, just wanted to mention that tomorrow I have my monthly free coaching call for all of my YouTube members. So if you are a YouTube member, go over to YouTube, check out the community section, and just like this room, just like a Zoom room, I'm going to be asking whoever is open to raise their hand, and I will be channeling their information live on the spot. And tomorrow's coaching call is all about your soul contracts. So if you want to know or you want a chance to know your soul contracts, definitely check out that coaching call. If you're a member, check it out. It's free. The link is already posted to YouTube. And if you're not a member, maybe you want to think about being one, because these calls are amazing and it's so nice to connect with my soul family. All right, I think that's about it. I think, without further ado, let's just open up the energy. Let's tune into the frequency. Let's see where the Galactic Federation is at and what they have to know for us right now. So my first question is, what's going on, GFL? What do you have for us today? What does humanity need to know right now at this time? So just 1 second, everyone. Okay. Okay, perfect. Great. So right away, I go over to my family. I've actually been visiting them a lot recently, like a lot. And it's so funny. Just a side note, okay, just cause. The other night I was talking to them, it was like 2 nights ago, and I was like getting to sleep, and I went over there and I was just chatting. And oh yeah, it was so funny. So we were talking about abductions, and I'm like, yeah, you could abduct me right now, but like I'm stark naked, right? Like I'm butt naked. Like, and I asked them because I was just curious, my own human. I'm like, what happens if you abduct me and I'm naked and you want to show me around the ship? Like, I don't feel comfortable with that. And they're like, don't worry, Elizabeth, like we have a suit for you. And I'm like, what? You have a suit for me? And they're like, yeah. And they show me this like really cool suit that's made out of this weird fabric. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah. And they said the whole thing is an EMF protector, an electromagnetic field protector. And I'm like, what? Can I have that? And they're like, no. And I said, why not? And they're like, because you're going to want to wear it in your videos and show it off to everyone. And I'm like, yeah, so. And and they're like, Elizabeth, that's not allowed. Like, you're going to be freaking taken by the government if you have like one of our suits. And I'm like, oh, damn. Okay. And so I'm like, I promise I won't show anyone. Like, I'll promise I'll keep it a secret. Now, here I am, obviously not keeping it a secret. Like, I would be so excited though if I got a suit. It'll happen. I'm just putting it out there one day. Anyway, so that was funny. So right away, I go to the Galactic Federation's Palladian Security Council. And I just said, hey, what's going on? You know, what do I need to know? Or what does everyone need to know right now? The first thing that they told me, and they showed this to me visually, is, oh, I don't have my notebook. I do have an old school notebook, so I could draw things. But they said, today, what we need to go over with all of you is the 3 layers of humanity. And this is really cool. So they said the base layer of humanity is actually Mother Gaia herself. So the planet. How is the planet doing? How is the environment? How is the electromagnetic fields doing? How are the solar flares? Like where's Mother Gaia at? The second layer beyond just the planet herself is I guess the agendas, right? So the dark kind of elite Illuminati type agendas that are going on that are overlaid on top of planet Earth. And then within that layer of the agendas as well, we can talk about how are humans doing? What do we need to know about our upgrades? And then they said the third layer, and there's a fourth layer too, but they only talked about 3, is actually tuning in with the Galactic Federation. How are you guys doing? What's the battle looking like? What's the light and dark, dichotomy right now? What do we need to know about the battle, basically? So we're going to actually really focus on all 3 layers. I asked them where I needed to start, and they said, Mother Gaia. Let's start from the, ground zero, base camp. Let's tune into Mother Gaia. I think I've tuned into angels before in this meeting, but I don't know if I've ever tuned into Mother Gaia herself. Let's tune into her. I talk to her all the time. It's a thing. Planets have consciousness. I've only ever done past life regression for one client before. That was other planets. And it kind of blew her mind. I'm like, oh yeah, you were other planets. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, you were an entire planet, but you've done that multiple times. So a soul can embody an entire planet, which is pretty cool. All right, let's tune into Mother Gaia. Let's see where she's at, what she wants us to know at this time. Let's just check in with her. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. Super cool. Okay. Overall, she's doing really well. Like, she's doing way better than she was even last year. And she said at this time that she has more support, I guess, in her life, in her existence, than she's really ever had before. She said that the Galactic Federation and other interdimensional beings have supported her, but she's only received that support from the outside in, if that makes sense. She says that the support that she's getting right now is from the inside out. And she showed me visually all these light workers, all these grid workers, a lot of you guys going to sacred sites, activating portals and vortexes, working on the core of Mother Gaia and the core of the planet, and then also reactivating the crystalline grid system of the planet. What did she say? Oh yeah, I said, what about environmental changes? Like, I know that there's a lot of shifts happening. Like, I know that, solar flares and radiation, cosmic radiation, like all this stuff is going on. Where are you at? Like, how are you feeling with all of that? And she gave me an image, and it's so funny because the image that she gave me reminds me exactly of what my microphone looks like. And this is a new mic, so I'm just kind of getting used to it. Let me try and show you. Okay, so do you see how the microphone, I don't know if you can still hear me. Do you see how the microphone is suspended? it's suspended in this like almost like a bungee system, right? So the microphone itself isn't touching any of the sides. And, you know, that's obviously for a reason, to protect it. And this is exactly what Mother Gaia showed me. It's like, it was just really cool. I don't think I've ever seen this before. I wish I could draw it, but it would be way too complex. It's like, imagine a grid system around Mother Gaia, which I've seen many times before. And then there's a grid system on the planet of Mother Gaia, which I've seen many times before. And the grid system on the Earth of Mother Gaia is created by the vortexes and the portals that are being activated. But now it's like the outside grid structure of Mother Gaia and the inside grid structure of Mother Gaia are linking together. And it's linking together in a way that when the planet shifts, even like really like physical shifts, it's almost like this bungee system that's supporting it, which is so beautiful. Now, the other really cool thing about this bungee support system, this visual that I've never really seen before, this connection that I've never seen before, it's all golden, by the way, like I guess that's important, but I see it as golden threads connecting the outer layer of the grid system, the consciousness grid system, and the inner layer of the consciousness grid system. The outer layer of the consciousness grid system was a gift. It was created by the Galactic Federation like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years ago, when it was prophesized that it was going to be planet Earth that was going to be the hybrid experiment planet. So they helped us out back then. They're like, look, these humans, these beings, these starseeds, they're going to forget everything. Let's try and help them by connecting them to one another. Now that we're activating the grid system that's on ground zero, on the ground level of planet Earth, we're connecting human beings to the cosmic layer. It's like the cosmic consciousness grid and the human consciousness grid are now finally getting woven together, which is so gorgeous. I've literally never seen that before. I think that's really powerful. And she said she's being very supported. Something else she said that I never thought of before, but it makes sense. And this is actually one of my questions for today, so it's all kind of weaving in. She showed me an image of caverns. I think that's the right word. Basically underground tunnel systems. Now, believe it or not, there is a ton of these underground tunnel systems all over the planet. A lot of them are military, like military underground bases. I've been there, I've astral traveled, remote viewed. I've also gotten kicked out of them many times before. But there's also underground tunnel systems and caverns and like living quarters for reptilian beings. It's completely separate from the government caverns, and also very much more like rudimentary, if that makes sense. They're very kind of archaic and cavemen and just rugged and rough and raw. Anyway, so here's what she said. Here's what Mother Gaia said. She showed me these caverns. She showed me the reptilian beings in the caverns, and she said she will not be able to fully transmute into a higher vibration until the underground caverns have transmuted. Now, one of my questions today was to Sasha, who is the reptilian, female reptilian warrior who's been helping me battle these reps for years now. And I wanted to ask her, where's the reptilian battle at? Like, where are we at with the rep battle? Like, where are we at with the progression? I'll just remind you guys, if you haven't seen the prior Galactic Federation events, it was, I think in October or November, where they told me that around Christmas, December, January, the reptilians, okay, who have been suppressed, believe it or not, they've been enslaved by their own kind on this planet for many, many, many years. The only reptilians who are free, and I do that in quotations, are the ones who are above ground, who are in control of all of it. And you could really argue that they're not really even free either, because they're at such a low vibration. There's like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, I don't know what the number is, maybe I'll ask, of reptilian beings who have been kept in these underground caverns, who have not been allowed out, who have not been allowed to shapeshift, who have never really honed in on that skill whatsoever, and they've been enslaved. And when I talked to them back in October, November, they said, we want to fight, we want to rebel against our own kind, and we want to transmute. So one of my questions today is, where are they at now? Have they transmuted? Clearly not, because Mother Gaia is telling me she's waiting for them to transmute. So I think that that might be our next kind of follow-up question, is like, where are these beings at, and what's holding them back from fully transmuting and kind of overthrowing their own government system. So I'll talk to Sasha, I'll talk to them in a little bit. I just want to tune back in with Mother Gaia. I want to see if there's anything else that we can do to help support her at this time, or anything else that she wants to mention to all of us at this time as well. 1 second. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. That's so interesting. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is really fascinating. Mother Gaia said that she was basically going to leave. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, are you like moving your planet? Are you like, and she showed me like her soul that like kind of exists in the center of the planet, leaving the planet. And I said, how are the trees supposed to function? How are the humans supposed to exist? How are we, how are we supposed to function without you, without the soul in the planet? Like, how is that going to work? I've never heard this before. And she said that it's going to be very similar to a walk-in experience. And I'm like, what? And she gave me this image. It was so wild. It was like an image of her depicted in a humanoid form, kind of like an etheric humanoid form. And it was a depiction of her being pregnant, which is funny because I've actually seen, I guess, images of like Mother Gaia, Mother Earth, whatever, being pregnant. And it always kind of felt like Mother Gaia was pregnant, with humanity or what have you. I don't know. Anyway, so she shows me this form, and she says that the pregnancy is actually in relation to the soul who is about to step in to the planet. It's a walk-in experience. And she said that she's been training this soul for quite some time. I said, oh my goodness, when are you leaving? When is this new soul fully stepping in? And she gave me a bit of a time range, but she didn't know. She kind of said whenever it feels right. And it feels like she said between 2024 and 2028. And I asked her why she's leaving. And she said that she's done her work, that she's very tired, and that she does not have the capacity or the energy to move into this higher frequency. So she's bringing in this little crystalline freaking planet soul. And it's so cool because like the little crystalline planet soul has been stepping in to Mother Gaia for quite some time, for years now, like many years, and has been like kind of learning like what it is to be a planet and to make sure your systems are functioning. She's saying right now that there might be a lot of earthquakes in response to the shift, the full integration. And I know we kind of all know that, like, yeah, there's a pole shift that's happening. There's definitely a transition at a planetary level that's happening. Never really thought that it was a walk-in experience. Now, if you know anything about walk-in experiences with the human body, it's really wild. If the soul, the walk-in soul, steps into the body too quickly or not in the right vibration, it creates a lot of pain in the body. And some people, believe it or not, actually become disabled because of these walk-in experiences, even when they're 7, fully functioning, fully agile, fully athletic 7-year-old walk-in experience happens. All of a sudden, they're crippled, or they have some sort of disability or chronic pain or what have you. And it's just so interesting seeing this take place at a planetary level. I'm just going to ask maybe one more question to her, which is there a name for this new being? Like, do we call her Mother Gaia as well? Like, say, for example, if a being walked into my body, would you guys all still call me Elizabeth? Like, would I still want to be called Elizabeth? Like, that's just, I feel like that's just a respect thing. Obviously, it's not going to happen for a couple more years, but wow, I just never knew that that was going to happen. But it makes sense. I mean, she's been holding space for us this entire time. And wow, okay, 1 second. Let's take a look here. Okay, yeah. Okay, so she's saying, Mother Gaia is saying, that's not up to her to determine. It's up to the new soul to determine. And she said it's kind of like getting a new dog or a new puppy or maybe potentially a new baby in your life. And you're like, I don't know what the name's going to be, but I'm going to let it come with the personality of the new dog or the new child or what have you. And so I guess we're just going to, watch this unfold, watch the integration happen, and then maybe ask the new planetary soul at that time, is there a new name, or is there a pseudo name or a sub name that you'd like to be called within that body? Because it's, just a respect thing. So that's something that we're going to have to watch unfold and naturally progress. And I think Mother Gaia, and we can support Mother Gaia by doing the grid work, by doing the portal activation work, right? And helping her out that way. And once Mother Gaia, once the planet, the old planet, I guess, oh my goodness, like maybe that's a part of the whole 3D to 5D shift. I guess that makes sense. The two different planets and then two different souls. Wow. Like it just feels like the more and more layers are coming together. So cool. Anyway, I think the old planet, the old planetary system has to get to a certain vibrational frequency first for the new soul to fully anchor in. Just like our bodies have to get to a certain frequency before a new vibration anchors in, before 5D anchors in. And that's why it sucks going through all the old shifts and frequencies, right? Because we're having all these symptoms. Wow, so fascinating. Oh my goodness, that's so cool. All right, let's move on. Let's go to the battle. Like, wow, like talk about a battle at an individual level. Everyone's getting psychically attacked. All these fake accounts are being made. Like, it's crazy. Like, we're talking about a physical battle. We're talking about an energetic battle in the dream space. So let's take a look. What's going on? What do we need to know about the next layer out, the agenda layer? What's happening? All right, just 1 second. Okay. Okay, so interesting. Okay, so I just want to mention that right when I tuned in, first of all, the energy is chaotic. Like it's like that battle is full on right now. Like it's really intense. But it's really funny that right when I tuned in, it's, I don't know, I'm just going to say it. It feels like there's an audience watching me in the astral realm when I tuned into that question. What's going on with the battle right now at this time? And uh and it felt like it was like a dark presence, and it felt like it was reptilian beings that were watching specifically for this question. And I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Like, what's happening? And they wanted insider information on, oh yeah, what do we know? What do we know? What do we know? So what happened was I turned up the frequency of the response to this question, and it literally felt like it gave them this like piercing sound in their ear. Also, if your computer is glitching out or your Wi-Fi is glitching out at this time, it might be because there's like a bit of like a viewing, okay, through your devices. I don't want to freak you out, but it's just, it is what it is. This is the world. I also want to mention too, so we kind of scrambled it. I also scrambled the information that comes through me. It's just, there's a lot of things that we can do that to layer it and protect. But I also just want to say too, to any of those beings that are listening in on what the GFL knows or doesn't know, or what we know or don't know, you know, not everything's going to be relayed in this meeting, right? As far as like what the GFL knows. And I think the GFL is like fully aware of the fact that there's going to be some hackers, let's call them that. Okay, anyway, let's go back to the question. Let's see who wants to step up and give us some details on the battle. Hmm. Right, okay. Interesting. Okay. So I went to Sasha. If you guys haven't been here before, just a reminder, Sasha is a reptilian female and she is a warrior, and she was able to transmute from darkness into light a long time ago. And she's kind of been I guess she was a double agent. I don't think she's a double agent anymore. We astral travel together, take down huge reptilian bases and, you know, kind of blow it up with white light. Anyway, so she's kind of like heading this whole thing. And what did she say? Oh yeah, she said like, when I took a look at the battle and the overthrow, that's what I'll call it, okay, the reptilian overthrow, them overthrowing their own system, they're holding back. Like, if you could imagine like a battleground and all of the soldiers being in the dugouts, I don't know what they're called, right? The dugout things, they're hiding. It's like they're hiding and they're waiting and they're very quiet. They're prepping, they're ready for attack. They're ready to overthrow, but they're holding back. And I said, "Why are you holding back? Why are you guys holding back? What's going on?" And she said that they're waiting for a couple more things. It feels like 2 or 3 more things to take place, and it feels like these are governmental things. She would not relay what the things are that they're waiting for, probably because of the secrecy or what have you, or the double agents and the hackers. But she said that they're waiting for a couple more things to happen, and then they strike. And then I asked her, I said, show me the depiction of them striking right away. If they were to just boom, overthrow tomorrow, because like, you know, I'm a rebel. Like, I like pushing the boundaries, like really, truly, like they're going to overthrow their own kind. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And it's bad. It's bad if they were to do that tomorrow. Basically, the shadow government, let's just call them that, has a couple of switches in their possession that could do some real damage to our ascension and awakening. This is funny. The only reason why they have not flicked those switches, okay, on multiple things is because they still think that they're winning. Okay. So it's like at a last resort, they could do some real damage in general. And I'm sure a lot of you are thinking like, but they're already doing some damage. Like, come on, like look where we're at with the masks and the vaccines and all of that. And I get that. But this is something different. So anyway, super fascinating. What else did she say? They're waiting. It's going to be the right time. It's got to be the right time, basically. Okay. All right, we'll leave it there. Let's see what else is going on with the battle. Let's see who else we can talk to within the Galactic Federation. They're going to strike. They're going to overthrow. but not quite yet. Let's see if there's anything that comes up with the children and like the freaking whole sex pedophile ring, you know, and adrenochrome and all of that. So 1 second. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. 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 Wow. Okay, so we're kind of in the same place that we were at a couple of months ago. I think it was the December Galactic Federation channel that this information came through. Right now, they are cutting back. This is so disturbing to even talk about, but they're cutting back on all of their bases or their camps that are underground that harvest children. Okay, they're cutting back. Like I don't know how to describe it. They still have many of these all over the world. They're still functioning. What's happening is they're cutting off the supply to many of these shapeshifters, okay? Many of the ones who basically sold their soul to be a part of the Illuminati to gain access to fame. That's a whole thing. That's legit. That's actually happening. And so they're cutting off the supply to all of these celebrities. So like I mentioned a couple of months ago, we're going to see celebrities, even like people like news reporters and I don't know, people who have some sort of influence. Let's just talk about that. You know, musicians, all of those people, they're going to start. This is weird, but they're going to start aging really rapidly, if they resist, they will be killed off. Okay. Or they will die. Some of them who are older, who don't get the supply of basically the adrenochrome or whatever this chemical compound is, they will die because it was the only thing keeping them alive. And there is a small group of these shapeshifters who are still getting fed the supply. Now, at the end of the day, it's the royal families. Like that's just, it is what it is. It's not just the royal families, but it's also the 6 richest families in the world, i.e. the Rothschilds and Roosevelts. And you know, I don't know if the Roosevelts are a part of it, but I know the Rothschilds for sure. And there's 6 of, you know, 5 others. They're all getting the supply, you know, and so is the royal family, especially the British royal family, and probably subsequently a lot of the other royal families. What's happening is they are abandoning the other bases with all of these children. And because let's call them the white hats, the good guys who are boots on the ground here on this planet, they don't have enough. They don't have enough people to help and purge out the children. They don't have enough supplies. They don't have enough hospital beds. They don't have enough support to get all of these children out. So there are children who are in these underground bases right now who are completely abandoned. And I'm just going to just send them a ton of white light, and we can all do that. Just send them, just think about them and send them the white light. The other thing that I thought was really fascinating is I saw this image. It was so wild. I saw this image. It looked like, how do I even describe it? It looked like a giant room, no windows, you know, it almost looked like an airplane like hangar, like it was like rounded, like a big giant rounded cement ceiling, a deep underground. And it felt like this tunnel went on for a long time, and it had very dim light, but it did have light, and that was about it. And there was just like people and children, like humans everywhere. And then there was like rooms off on the side, and I guess that's where they extracted whatever they extracted from these people. And what was fascinating about that was there are literally these giant reptoid beings who are the dark guys, okay, the bad guys, and there's good ones too, right? So there's giant, like 10-foot tall, like with the tail and everything, like scaly, like looking like a giant dinosaur being walking around, demanding, commanding, whatever, manipulating these children. And I asked Sasha, I said, why is the reptilian not shapeshifting? And she says, first of all, they don't get the privilege to shapeshift because that's something that higher classes of reptilians get the privilege of, I guess, on the surface of the planet. And so they're not even capable of shapeshifting into a human form, first of all. And secondly, basically what she said is these children will never see the light of day. So there's no need to actually shapeshift and pretend to be something that they're not. And anyway, it was just such a wild scene to witness. And it's really sad that a lot of these children are being abandoned. But it's also, in kind of a messed up way, it's a positive thing that they're not continuing to feed the rest of basically the population, probably the millions of people who are involved with the shadow government and the Illuminati and what have you. So it's a lot going on. Let me ask if there's anything that we can do at this time to really navigate through some of this dense energy. So 1 second. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right, great. So 2 things. One, our good friend Bhakta comes through. If you guys don't already know who she is, she's a Suri species, very, very rare. I've never met one before. And she says that she's all alone in her own species up there on the Galactic Federation mothership. She's kind of aquatic, very beautiful, blue skin, very tall. And she's all about genetics. She's like a master geneticist. And she was talking about the Galactic Federation meeting that we had in September of 2020. And I believe it was in September. And that might have been the first time that she actually presented herself to me and to all of you. That's the first time I met her. She talked about extensively in that meeting about our DNA and the way that it shifts between third dimension, fourth dimension, and fifth dimension. And it's so beautiful because she was pulling that information back, talking about the shifts, talking about the symptoms that we're going through and experiencing. And basically she laid out how we can all navigate, those symptoms and whatnot. And the other thing too that came through when she stepped in was each and every one of these meetings, these Galactic Federation meetings, are all like, they're all pieces of a puzzle that we weave together. Like, it's very important because each one talks about something very different and unique, but we can't talk about all the things in all of them. So it's like, to get the full picture, you need to go back to all of them. So I just want to let you guys know that I do have a Galactic Federation. All of the 2020 meetings are together. It's $11 for all of the GFL 2020 meetings. If you have not seen them, if you have not gone back there, it's from September to December, I believe. Lauren, I don't know if you want to check out my online school and grab a link for that and maybe throw that in the chat. And if you guys are interested or curious, you go to my online school off my website, and it literally says GFL bundle. You get 6 meetings for $11. It's a no-brainer. It's like basically 6 hours of information. I think 5 or 6. Anyway, so check that out, because she's saying there's pieces there that she's not going to go back into, but that we're getting affected at a very deep level right now by the shifts and the changes. So that's important. What else came through? Oh yeah. Sasha also talked about us holding the highest vibration, not just for the children, but for Mother Gaia herself, and for us to really ascend and move into this new vibrational space. So whether that be actually traveling and going to different portals, vortexes, going out in nature, or you're just meditating from your own home and you're holding the highest vibration for planet Earth in saying something along the lines of, I am asking for a gentle and graceful shift into a new frequency for the collective, in the highest vibration of all involved, or what have you, right? But something about the ease and the grace of this shift. Set your intentions for how we're going to shift into this. And if we can all come together and ask for that, then we're all going to be shifting together in that frequency. And if we can't all come together and ask for that, then at least we can shift ourselves and hold the intention of, I'm going to shift into a higher frequency in a graceful and easy way. And you will, okay? So if it doesn't necessarily help the collective, it will absolutely help you at an individual level. Oh my goodness, so good, so good, so good. Okay. The war is continuing. We don't really have any timelines. Things are kind of all over the place. That's okay for right now. I think it was really important to understand where Mother Gaia is at. And I kind of wanted to ask a couple more things. But one thing that I felt was really important was bringing through Timothy. I don't know if you guys remember him or if you've seen my other GFL channelings, but Timothy is an Asasani being. He's up there on the Galactic Federation mothership. He would be the equivalent of like a 12-year-old human boy, even though he's like way more advanced than that. I think he's super cute. Like he looks very small because he is still young. And he is half gray, half human, which equates to the Asasani. And his IQ is like through the roof, like 250. And what he does is he sits in on all of these Galactic Federation Council meetings. He's allowed to. I don't know why he's allowed to. Maybe he has some like greater purpose within the GFL. He doesn't have a role yet. But he sits in on all of these meetings and he's like a sponge. He just absorbs it. And when I first introduced him, he asked to connect with all of you so that he could observe you, right? So the offer still stands. If you want, he hates to be called cute, but I'm going to call him cute. If you want a cute little Asasani boy who like just observes your human day-to-day activities, ask for him, call him in, say, Timothy, I give you permission to like hang out in my living room while I'm like chilling and watching Netflix, right? It might be boring for you. He finds it fascinating though, but also like be warned when you ask for that, because like he will come right in. He was actually creeping in on, Nat and I in a conversation we had the night after the Galactic Federation, the first one that he came through. And I said, Timothy, look, you've got all these other people who want to go see you. Like, don't creep in on my life. All right. I've had enough of you for today. So I had to kind of kick him out of my bedroom. But he's super cute. So let's tune in with Timothy. It's been a little while. I miss him. I'm sure you guys miss him too. Let's see where he's at and what he has to say. He's a wealth of knowledge and information. What are your findings, Timothy? What's going on the GFL mothership? Give us a little rundown. Oh, interesting. Okay, okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay, okay. Okay, so he's like, this is what he said at first. He's like, there is so much going on, Elizabeth. Like, you wouldn't believe what's going on. And I'm like, oh my goodness, tell me, Timothy, what's going on? He's so cute. And so this is what he said. He literally shows me this book, like a huge book. I don't know if it was just a metaphor. It must have been just a metaphor. They don't have books up there. They don't read pages, right? Anyway, he shows me this giant book. It's a metaphorical image of this giant book. And he says, I'm putting this book together. And I said, what? What is it? What is it about, right? And he tells me that he's accumulating all of the information that he's been observing on this planet probably from a lot of you. And he's accumulating all this information that he's observing on the GFL mothership, and he's putting it together. And he says, I want to help the Galactic Federation connect with humanity, and I want to help humanity connect with the Galactic Federation. And he called himself something along the lines of like a relations ambassador. And it's so cool because I guess he was told about his position later down the line. So this is, I mean, he's still young, but this is the position that he's starting to get trained for. And it feels like he's just training himself. He's very self-sufficient. And so relations ambassador. And I said, what does that mean? And I asked him, I said, but humans are already interacting with the Galactic Federation. Like, not only do I see humans, like actually like not Palladians because they look very human, but full like humans in the suit that I want. Okay, they're up there, they're in the suits. Not only are they there, but there's also human beings. So at first I showed him that. I'm like, but humans are already working with the Galactic Federation. Like, what do you mean? And he said, no, Earth humans, because there is a difference between humans that were born and I guess bred on the Galactic Federation mothership and humans who were born on planet Earth, lived and raised on planet Earth, and then interacting with the GFL. And I said, but there's also those channelers who have been abducted for many years who have been connecting and communicating with the GFL, similar to what I do. And he said, no, Elizabeth, he says, for the entire planet. He's like, eventually I am going to be the mediation, basically the mediation officer between all of humanity and all of the Galactic Federation for this planet. And I said, that's really cool. So I guess the next question is like, tell us about your findings. Like, this is really fascinating. What do we need to know right now about disclosure, about full disclosure? Do you know of like about how it's going to happen or what it's going to look like or what we need to know to help it happen? Like what, like anything that he can tell us in this huge freaking book that he has of information. So let's see here. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay. So he said, I've heard this before, not from him, but from the Galactic Federation, actually quite a few times. So this might not be new to you, but he said that individual disclosure has to happen first at a large scale, in the way that a lot of the people on the planet, even the asleep ones, or at least I should say, especially the asleep ones, are going to have this individual disclosure. So maybe it's getting introduced to aliens or interdimensional beings through dreams. Maybe it's actually seeing a UFO in the sky or having some sort of paranormal activity take place, right? Or what have you. And he said that at a certain level, it's like this majority, or at least like a large portion of the population on planet Earth needs to feel comfortable with that kind of connection before they fully disclose themselves in that way. Now we're already getting, the CIA disclosing documents and other really cool things, but it's a little bit different when they freaking land on the White House lawn and say, we're here, what up, fam? It's a little different. So we're getting to the place where we're getting more and more comfortable. And he also said, what else did he say? He also said too that there's all this mainstream media that's going to be released in the next year or so. It feels like the next couple of years, really. He's talking about like psychic abilities being very predominant. He also said like a lot of alien movies. And I said, but there has been a lot of alien movies and they're all freaking fear-based. And he said, no, these alien movies are going to be very empowering, very beneficial, very expanding and awakening. And soft, I guess. It's like a soft awakening. And that's going to really help to shift humanity's perspective. So other than that, he's not really talking about the how and the when it's going to happen, just that it's already happening at an individual level, which is exactly what we need really in order to move forward into full disclosure. So I think that's pretty amazing. Okay, the only other things that I wanted to ask about are really just anything else about the vaccine and anything else that we need to know at this time related to like our friends and family. I think a lot of us are just having a tough time with friends and family. They're shifting, they're having ego deaths, they're awakening. I don't know about you guys, but I've said yes almost tirelessly, too much in the past couple of months to a lot of people who really need help. And I want to give everything I've got to give to them, but then I end up getting drained and I'm kicking myself for saying yes too many times. I don't know if you guys have experienced that too. And then I have to ask myself, what's this all about? Like, am I all of a sudden overstepping my healthy boundaries that I set in place years ago? And as a matter of fact, it's not that, it's just the fact that more people need help and they're turning to us for that help because we've already gone through a lot of what they're going through right now. Right. So I really wanted to ask, like, what do we need to do with friends and family members who are just freaking in it right now? And how do we navigate that? And like, maybe there's a GFL member who wants to help us navigate that. And then really just anything about the vaccine, like, you know, I just put out a whole hour-long video about the vaccine. If you haven't already watched it, it's free. It's on YouTube. Check it out. I feel like everything that needed to be said was said in that video. I did discuss that video and the topic with the GFL, so they gave me all that information. But let's see if there's anything else that they can mention about the vaccine. I know it's kind of on everyone's mind. So yeah, let's just kind of close off with both of those topics. 1 second. Okay. Okay. No, this is really cool. This is a new being, and I guess I can call her a being. She's actually a human being, which is so amazing because I don't think I've ever connected with a human being who works for the Galactic Federation, and we just talked about human beings who work for the GFL. So divine. She is like, she's kind of one of those people that you look at and like it's like striking, like she's very like striking looking. And I even looked at her and told her, I'm like, you don't look like a human though. So she works for she lives up there full time. I got a bit of her backstory. I got her name as well. Never met her before, never even seen her before. I would definitely remember. And she's in a dark blue Galactic Federation suit. Once again, one of the suits that I want, but that's fine. Don't have to give it to me. And she's pale. She has freckles. And she has this like wild, like red curly hair and these crazy like green eyes. And I'm like, I told her, I'm like, I mean, she looks like a human, but like she definitely looks like she is something from off this world. And so I said, I don't know, I was curious. I'm like, who are you? Like, give us your backstory, right? And she said her name is Lindsay. Lindsay, that came through really clearly. I'm like, that's a very normal name. And she said, this is so fascinating. She said that she was born on this planet to a royal family. I'm kind of assuming she didn't tell me. I'm assuming it's like Irish or Scottish because she just looks so freaking Irish or Scottish. I'm assuming that. She didn't tell me though. She's not confirming or denying. Maybe she doesn't want to. And she said she was born to the royal family. The second that she was born, she emitted a frequency. Like you could tell that she was just this like starseed, crystalline being. And she said that she had a very clear and powerful mission here on the planet to in the position that she was in, but that her family, okay, her dark, whatever, Illuminati, shadow government, shapeshifter family would never allow her to complete her mission, okay, on this planet. And so right away, basically right when she was born, she was snapped up by the Galactic Federation, and she was raised up on that ship, and she's been there ever since. So that's the kind of background and story of Lindsay. Very fascinating. And what else did she say? Oh yeah, human relations. I wanted to ask her about human relations. She studies this. This is why she's the one who came through. And this is what she said. Kind of what we've heard before, but in a new way. I think it's really brilliant. She said a couple things. One, do not give anything to your friends or family unless they ask for it. Straight up, because we're just hitting a wall. We're just hitting a brick wall every time we do that. So that's important, rule of thumb. And what else did she say? She also said, so don't give unless asked. And oh yeah, she also said, right now, a lot of our friends and family members, our loved ones, are going through ego deaths. And even maybe your husband or your wife or whatever is going through an ego death and a collapse, which is totally okay. It's just a lot to deal with. And this means that they're going to be really negative and they're going to complain a lot. And it's going to be a lot about them. And you can hold space and they're going to come to you because you're good at doing that. You're good at holding space. And that's why they're going to come to you. And what she said was, hear them out. What's going on? Okay, so your body hurts and your best friend is being a bitch, or this is happening, or whatever, right? I don't know. So all these things are taking place, right? Hear them out. But when they come back around, when they give you all of that negativity again, you want to ask them, look, I've heard all of this before. So what are you doing to get out of that? What action are you taking to move away from that place that you're in? You're stuck. So how are you going to unstick yourself? So hold space for them within their negativity, within their ego death, but don't do that to the point where you're now lowering your vibrational frequency because you just keep holding space. The next time, bring it back around and say, what action steps are you taking to better your life? Because right now you're bringing me down and I want to help, but you haven't asked me for help. Like, be straight up, be really real with these people that you love. Be authentic with them. This is not a time to bullshit. This is not a time to beat around the bush. This is not a time to play their games anymore. You're wasting your energy and your precious time and theirs by doing this. All right, so that's just really important. So thank you, Lindsay. And yeah, super cool. So maybe she'll come through in another GFL meeting. And let's go over to the vaccines. Let's just see if there's anything else. And then just in general, anything else for you guys as a group or humanity in general at this time. So 1 second. Exactly. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so two things. One about the vaccine. I keep getting the same image. I'll just relay the image and then I'll relay the information with it. This is Bhakta who's coming through with the Suri species, who's talking about kind of like how our genetics will absorb, whatever you want to call it, the vaccine. Okay. So I get this image of like the vaccine going into someone and then like how it settles. And once again, it's based on the vibration. Then I got this image of like the whole planet and like how that's going to be affecting us. And as long as we hold the highest vibration, it's going to make us stronger. It's like the example of okay, you fall and you scrape your knee and the knee scabs over and all of a sudden your knee is like, I don't know, the skin on your knee is like very tough and very kind of like calluses on your hands, right? And like you're like working on the farm and like you're building up that strength. Very similar to that. It's like this strength that our bodies are going to be able to navigate through moving forward. I asked Bhakta, I said, do we need that strength moving forward? Like, is there a reason why we need to kind of take it, raise the vibration of it, and just navigate through that? And she said, yeah, there's a ton of things kind of on the planet, like including pollution, right? I mean, us inhaling and breathing and intaking, even just, the chemicals and the shit in the air and the water, that in some sort of sense is actually making us stronger, able to handle more of these chemical influxes. Individuals who maybe grow up away from all of that, drinking well water, going into a big city is going to be really drastically affected by those things. Not saying that I'm lining up to go get a vaccine anytime soon, and definitely not saying that any of you should do that anytime soon. But it really comes down to letting go of the fear behind it. It all comes down to letting go of the fear. That's the biggest thing. And if we can do that, then we can raise the vibration collectively of anything, right? This is one huge test for us. And this is all really information that I relayed in the vaccine video that I just did, a week ago. So that's really good. And then I said, is there anything else that this group needs to know in general? And this beautiful angelic being, I recognize her. I believe her name is Leia, Laya. I believe that's what her name is. And so Leia comes through like huge wingspan. Like it feels like her wingspan is like 10 feet wide, but she's just this little like human, kind of like humanoid, etheric being. And she brought her wings around almost like as if she was hugging us, but also like hugging herself. And the telepathic communication from her was, we need to hold space for ourselves at this time. Okay, this is not a time to continue to give and martyr and project and just do all of that. This is a time for you to really just relax and receive and be and love yourself right now in this present moment. And that's going to be the most important, I think, for all of us to really remember is holding space for ourselves at this time and checking in with your human, checking in with your vibration. And that's really beautiful. So as always, thank you all so much for showing up, for holding space for me, for holding space for them. Thank you to all of the Galactic Federation members that came through. Everyone else that's up there that didn't come through today, that's still up there, that's just observing, thank you. I also want to bring a huge shout out to the hijackers, huge shout out to the dark side and the reptilian shapeshifters and the entities. I love you. Thank you so much, all of you guys that are all around. I just want to say I appreciate you bringing the alternative perspective. I appreciate you holding space for this dualistic reality. I appreciate all of the darkness for allowing all of us to be in the light. Because I'm telling you guys right now, the light is way easier to be in and sit within than the dark. The dark is confusing, it's separating, it's lonely, it's sad, it's depressing, you know, and it's tough to sign up for an entire lifetime like that. And I think the more and more that we bring appreciation and gratitude to our shadow and to the dark side of this dualistic reality, the more and more we raise the vibration of it so that we no longer have to exist in polarity or dualism anymore. So yeah, I'm so grateful every day for doing what I'm doing and being able to share it with all of you, because I was doing this before, but now I get to share it with the world. So, or at least a small portion of it right now. So I love you all so much. Have a beautiful rest of your, what day is it? Thursday. Have a great rest of your 11th. I will see all of my YouTube members tomorrow for the free live coaching. It's going to be so much fun. And other than that, I'll see you on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, I don't know, all of the things. Grayson and Gracie say hi and also bye. Bye, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. Thank you.